Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome along to Ascona Locarno. It is the Golden Trail World Series finals in this beautiful part of southern Switzerland, Lago Maggiore, not too far away from here. It's one of my favorite parts of the world. The scenery is absolutely spectacular. It's a pretty nice day for a late October, but winds are not too far away, and we have got the women's race coming up in a few moments' time. My name's Ian Finley, alongside me, David Hellard. And David, so we've had the prologue, but it's all going to come down to this race here, the battle for the championship.
Oh, it absolutely is. And buongiorno to our watchers today. We're in the Italian part of Switzerland. And as you said, since we were last live on air, we've had a prologue, a time trial 2 days ago that our athletes have taken part in. It's changed the overall rankings, but we know today that it's going to be as simple as Joyce Najiru. If she wins today, she wins the series. But there will be battles throughout our top 20, and we also have the return of Joylene Cepangino. She won Sierra Zanau, her very first trail race, and she's the individual who can upset the standings today. But we will be introducing our top 10. You can see some of the athletes warming up there, and we're hoping to be able to show you the main stars throughout the race, the whole thing being live, mixing cameras, runners, and drones. Now we have on screen here, you can see now we're seeing here coming in just on screen there, we're doing a top 12 introduction. That was Rosa Lara from Spain. We expect to see her featuring towards the end of the race. She came 8th in Kobe Tail in Japan, unfortunately got lost during the time trial. So she's dropped out of our top 10 currently, but Rosa Lara from Spain there, we're hoping to get a bit of redemption today.
Representing Switzerland,
So athletes all being introduced. There's great crowds around, as well as we see the top 12 being introduced.
That's Marta Martinez from Spain coming through. 7th in Kobe, 3rd in Zagama, a great result for her. In fact, that's not correct, 3rd in Zagama from my notes. Anna Gibson, 3rd in Mammoth Lakes. Currently 8th, Yao Miao from China. 3rd in Mont Blanc coming through. Therese just flew through the screen, there she is. Another Swiss runner. Winner of the Mont Blanc Marathon, 5 times world orienteering champion. She is currently tied with Marlon Ossa, the Basque runner. 2nd in Zagama, 5th in the Four Sisters Trail Race, 5th in Kobe. Those two will be stalking each other today. From Romania, Madalina Florea won last year's final. She came 2nd in Mont Blanc, 2nd in Headlands, 2nd in Mammoth. And the series leader, Joyce Njiru from Kenya. She won in China, she won in Headlands, won in Mammoth, and she won our time trial today. The absolute favourite for victory, if she can ensure that Joylene doesn't upset her end of season victory.
Allora, non si sente lì, non si sente fino a lì. Non so se si sente, vai. A little brief about the race,
Today's my day. I think if you want to win the race, you have to be confident and to tell to yourself that you will win.
The finals last year, when Madalena and Judith beat me, I was like, that sucked. When I come back next year, I'm gonna come back and show that I'm the best.
I hope to win again. I probably proved myself that I'm better than I think, that I'm good at tactics.
My dream this year is to win Golden Trail World Series.
It was not my day.
hard is coming.
Do you think Remy is scared of you?
I think so.
I have to keep the fighting spirit until the end.
There's a chance he's going to cross this line, not knowing if she's won the overall series or not.
Basically, from now on, it's all or nothing.
On the reason why I considered it too risky, it was Madi and Web. Take care, so
We saw there the highlights of some of the season so far and some of the narrative of the battles we're going to see today. The big ones though, Madalena Faria. Oh, looking fake there. Hopefully she's okay. She's currently second in the series. She knows she needs to beat Joyce by at least 3 places to win. Central to the screen though, someone we haven't mentioned who isn't in our top 10 is Sophia Laukley. Last year's series champion is back, hoping to restore some honor. But we can see the scores at the moment. The big stories really are Judith Wieder and Marlon Osser tied. Whoever finishes first out of those two today will take third in the podium, we suspect. And that 48-point difference between Joyce and Madalena. A big difference for Madalena to have to try and overcome. Can you hear the noise in the background though? We're getting it from the screen and we're attent at the start lines. We can also hear it coming through. The absolute energy increasing here. On the right though, did you see her there? Julien Cepangino stood next to Joyce. These two we think will be leading out today. Sarah Alonso, another runner returning, tucked in behind them. The Mont Blanc former champion. Now, if you don't know this course, it's 24K, 1,500 meters of climbing with 5 loops. There will be 5 loops. The course will start with a 1.7K loop. 300 meter sprint before that over some asphalt, before the real climbing begins. But we're just about to start the final of the Golden Trail World Series. Some good bouncing in the back there. You can see the nerves on offer here though. The big difference with today's final and previous courses is this loop system allows the runners who aren't quite good at climbers to stick with the front. So we suspect if Madalena is going to try and make a difference today, she's going to need to attack on the big climb of the 3rd loop and to try and get some space between them.
Well, the atmosphere is tense and everyone is ready to go here. There's some smiling faces, there's some nervous looking faces. Madalena Faria, the Romanian, knows she needs a huge result. But Joyce Ingeru has been so tough to beat this season. And it's all just about to go down on this thrilling course.
And they're off! 3, 2, 1. And it's the start of the Golden Trail World Series Grand Final here in Locarno, Switzerland. And already Joyce Ingeru and Julien Cepangino taking to the front this 300-meter asphalt sprint to start us off today.
Well, as expected, we're seeing Ingeru powering away out of the start, and let's see, we've got crowds all over, starting to climb early through this asphalt, which I know we don't love too much as trail runners, but it's all part of the variety here. And it is Cepangino. And David, we expected her to go off the front quickly, and that is what we're seeing already, just less than a minute into the race.
Yeah, we've got Julien taking to the front here. I mean, almost unfair. What we haven't said yet is the time trial counts towards the overall series. But because Joylene doesn't have enough points to really care about the top 10, no matter what she does today, doesn't change her position in the series. So significantly, she did not run the time trial. So she is fresh. She is not tied in any way. But you can see that Joyce Injiru has gone with her already, which to me is a mistake. Joyce doesn't need to win this race. She doesn't even need to come second in this race. She doesn't even need to come sixth in this race. She just needs to finish ahead of Madalena Florea. And at the moment, she's going for the win. And we've seen already this season, Joyce twice has blown up because she's got out too hard. And that is the most likely thing to stop her winning our series. It's not Madalena, it's if she goes off too fast. And she's been drawn into a battle that I don't think she should be in. But what a start to the race.
What a start, and the two Kenyans just building this advantage over the rest of the field already. Such exceptional athletes. And Chepinjano, I mean, if she runs the full series in 2025, I can't wait for it. Can we start now? Because it is going to be so exciting. But I think you're right. I think we've got to look at what Injiru's doing here. It's not about the victory, as you say, David. It is about getting the championship and that reward for her season's efforts and the quality that she's put in here. But getting drawn into this battle, this is a long race, and already she is pushing it hard.
Look at that gap.
Yeah, it's
Look
massive.
at the gap. Where is everyone else? This is like it's a time trial. I wrote in my notes they'll be running about 17 kilometers an hour at this stage in the race. I do not think that is true. I think they're probably going at around 20 kilometers an hour here. This pace, 3-minute kilometers, I suspect. This is a 1.7k loop. You can see it's smooth. This is the same loop they will be finishing on today. So Joyce will know this, and but with Joylene, we need to take it out quickly. What we didn't see in Sierra Zanao, which is 30k, so it's longer than today's race, but actually it didn't have any significant downhills, and so that is the area of her all-round trail game that we yet to see and yet to find out. And we do know that Joyce is exceptionally good on the downhill. So, but I love the fact that Joyce has immediately been drawn into that battling instinct of wanting to win and wanting to win this final. She wasn't here. She didn't perform in last year's final, and so whether this is wanting to show that she's the best overall or just being fooled into unusual race tactics, we will find out later. But the fact that Madalena's not gone with them at all, we could see the pack all grouped together, happy to just sit back. Maybe she's already given up on battling and just hoping that the race will come to her.
Well, if you're Florea, you're watching this, and she probably knows she can't quite go with this early pace. And as you say, maybe it will come back. And with Chepinjano not featuring in the championship, and Florea doesn't have to worry about what Chepinjano's doing today. It's all about what Injiru does, and can Injiru hold this pace? There's potentially a little bit of danger that Chepinjano just gets away on her own. Injiru thinks, do you know what, I can't match that pace, and she could end up just sort of in the middle between a big pack and Chepinjano out in front on her own. And the pacing, the strategy that she has got to put together is maybe already gone out the window, but she'll know Chepinjano knew that this was coming. I mean, you called it right at the start, David, that Chepinjano was going to go off quickly, and clearly Injiru has decided to try and match her. Just having one or two little issues seeing the athletes at the moment. We're going on to the drone pictures. They're in the trees right now. I love this part of the world. Absolutely beautiful. And the gap is starting to just go out between these two at the front now, David.
Yeah, and you can see here, this is the left turn they'll take on the final lap. into the sprint for the finish. One other thing, it's not just about pacing and the fear of blowing up, but we have seen there's no perfect race in terms of the course markings. And if you're by yourself, there is a chance you'll take a wrong turn. There's more protection in the pack, but we're going to come through our cheer zone here. This is an element of the design of the course where they'll be running through the cheer zone 7 times. So you can see the energy it creates. And it does mean that some of the locals can come and really get an insight into our athletes. Up on the left here, you can see the trees and the steepness. This is the technical downhill that we did during the time trial, the prologue. And when they hit that, you'll see some of the most skillful technical trail you'll ever see. But at the moment, you know, Joylene has gone out with the ferocity and the speed that we were expecting, and we can see Sara Alonso on the left there, the light brown, the Spanish runner, a very good climber. I'm sure will be working her way through the pack. And this is our top 15 coming through now.
Wow, what a beautiful scenario, what a beautiful crowd.
And you can see the significant distance that both Joylene and Joyce have created. All of the top 50 women are in touch of each other. You can see pretty much everyone from 3rd through to 30th, all within 20 seconds. And so the entire rest of the women's field are closer together than they are to our top 2 at the moment.
Well, it tells you what we've seen already in this race. And loving this cheer zone. It's getting those fans right in front of the athletes and bunching them together as we get further through this race. I think the noise levels are only going to increase as well. And David, you've been saying that we haven't had all of the big superstars quite together in every race this season, and Sara Alonso 13th in the standings last year. She's an athlete that is going to be looking for a really good finish today, and then probably turning her attention to 2025 as we head back to the front.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have quite a few returning athletes who we saw last year. Madalena Floria win the final, having presented herself on the global stage at Sierra Zinal for the first time. It didn't get her into the top 5, the top 10 overall. She was there just to signify to people that I am here and I am ready to become a superstar. Significantly with our top 2 athletes, you'll see that they're running in similar colors. They're both actually, they haven't got big sponsors behind them. They're not running from significant race teams. And so Joyce Injira at the moment, she leads our series running for a local Italian team of Kenyan runners who've come together to almost train with each other, but they're not sponsored by a big shoe brand. And so this is what winning a race like today does to you. And so Joylene will be hoping not only to qualify for next year by doing well today, but actually get a supporting sponsor to help with her expenses, help with her finances, and help support her for the rest of the season. Now we're seeing here, this is Madalena Floria in the black at the front of the chasing pack. The Romanian runner is currently sat in 3rd place, which is where she'll want to be. She's hoping that Joyce has gone out too hard and at some point she'll come back to her. We've talked about the other races, the battle for the podium. In the blue at the front of these 4 is Judith Wieder, the Swiss orienteer. So she at the moment is running with Sara Alonso tucked behind her. She knows that she just has to finish ahead of Marlin to achieve 3rd place overall, as long as she's up in the top 10. And someone else we saw there, who we'll talk about later, is Lauren Gregory. She came 2nd in the time trial 2 days ago. She is an American runner new to the season, new to the series this season, a 15:17 5K time, an extremely fast runner who's also good on wet trail.
Just trying to see if we can spot Sophia Loudley, the American athlete as well. I think she was going pretty well early on. And now it's all starting to just settle down over 10 minutes set into this race. It's a little bit damp. There's some wet leaves around as well. A little bit tricky underfoot in places, particularly on the descents as we head back to Joylene Chepinjano. And with the sort of performance that she's putting together so far, still a long way to go in this race. I think, as you were saying, David, maybe those bigger sponsors might be coming her way, and this is how you go about getting sponsorship, isn't it? Get yourself to the front of the race, go out, dominate, show what you have got. Can she see at home? Has she got those skills on the descent that are gonna, if she can really dial them in, then she is gonna be one certainly to watch for the future and throughout the rest of this race today, because she is out on her own at the moment, with Injeru still in second place right now. She looks very, very comfortable right now.
Did you see her reach across? Was she doing some splits on a watch there? Potentially, it looked like to me.
She might have been.
And yeah, she's a revelation this year. And what's been really surprising is actually quite how well she managed her Sierras now. We often see, particularly Kenyan runners coming through with almighty speed that haven't got their nutrition nailed down, aren't quite good at pacing, haven't got technical skill on the downhill, and she seems to have ticked all the boxes so far in that first race, and it was far more experienced in how she handled Sierras now than we were expecting. But if we look at these trails here, they're now on lap 3. This is approximately 13 kilometers, so this is the biggest lap and has 550 meters of climbing. One of the challenges that I'd say with this course is you can see how runnable this terrain looks. And I was talking to Sarah Alonso beforehand, and she thinks actually we're going to get quite a few athletes explode and run too fast, because with these shallow rises, it can be very easy to feel as if you're on the flat, and so we get athletes running a little bit too fast going into the red zone because you feel like you should be running at flat speed. And so these shallower climbs can actually be more damaging to your overall race pace and to your glycogen reserves than you may suspect. But we're watching our chasing pack here. This is Yao Miao at the back, the Chinese runner who has come top 3 in Mont Blanc this year, also had a very good ultra season. And you can see there's 5 athletes all together. I think Madalena Florea was at the front of those, and so it seems as if we almost have 3 sections of the race now. We have Joylene Chepinjano leading out, Joyce Injiro behind her, and then all the rest of the runners grouped together.
Getting a good look at this tricky terrain as well, and it's impressive so far from Chepinjano, but now we're seeing just on screen Joyce Injiro has obviously more experience than Chepinjano, and I think pretty early on, David, I think she decided, no, I'm not going with this pace. I'm going to settle in because this is a long one, and she's got that experience and will know from the prologue some of the terrain, and they've all studied the course in great detail, but she knows her limits, her capabilities, and it's as you said, it's sort of easy to maybe push it a little bit too hard on some of these flatter climbs, and it can just sap that energy away from you here. What sort of nutritional strategies or hydration strategies was some of these athletes going to be using? Because I imagine there's a whole host of different things across the field.
Most of them will be splitting their nutrition spread between gels and water bottles. So there's 2 aid stations today, but not until quite far into the race. And so it's quite useful to look out to see who's holding a bottle, because that gives you an insight into how they're preparing. The fact it's in perfect conditions almost for a race like this, not too hot, so it could be that even if you haven't got great nutrition strategy, you can get through today without hitting fumes too much. But that is one of the areas that we haven't tested Chepenjeno that well on her nutrition. As Sierra's now, she did slow down towards the end. And we know with Joyce and Giroux, she's really struggled with her nutrition at times. She doesn't like taking a huge amount of water. And actually, interestingly, one of the challenges she's found is quite often you'd put your water bottles into the team to distribute at the aid station the night before. And she's convinced that by the time she gets the water back, it just tastes stale. She doesn't like the flavor of it. And so that's something she's had to overcome. But we're now looking at our chasing pack. To give you a sense of who's in here, we've got Lauren Gregory, the American runner at the back, who came second in our prologue. Just ahead of her is Yao Miao. And we might see some overtakes now because, yeah, we can see there. Lauren clearly was stuck in the pace of the group in that single track. She's making moves now, overtaking Yao Miao there. Judith Wieder, joint third in the series, is on the right here. The Swiss orienteer. Sarah Alonso, a very good climber. Her nickname is Lungs from when she played football as a child. She is just at the top of that group. I think it was Rachel Tomash from the American athlete, often goes out very fast, who was leading that group. The question for me, though, is where is Sophia Laukli? Is she ahead potentially? She is the best climber for me out of the chasing pack. She had the best time in the prologue to the peak. So I'm surprised she's not in that group. So either she's not feeling great or potentially ahead. But this is a bit more challenging now.
Yeah.
This is more like trail running.
There we go. This is and that little look over the shoulder from Chepenjeno. Where is everyone else? And she's looking very, very comfortable. And foot placement, reading the terrain, all absolutely key on a section like this. And that those leaves are maybe just covering up the odd route as well. And those rocks might be just a little slippy, but this is what we want to see just coming out of the trees here. It might, just in terms of what's underfoot, ease up ever so slightly in about 15-20 meters or so. Or we might be sticking on it, but yeah, the pace dropped. It's very, very steep, and the cameras just never show quite how steep it is, do they?
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised she's running with such fluidity at this stage, because this is incredibly steep right here. It will open up a little bit at the top. You'll see more of the ski slope, and that's where you can be drawn into running a fast pace that can be quite damaging. But significantly, if we're looking at the ground here, this is where the sun is shining through a bit, but it still looks a bit damp for me. And one of the challenges with this course, the camera runners were out there yesterday to get a sense of how they can attack the different areas and how to film it. Over the top of this peak, they hit 1,800 meters. They do then hit some mountain bike tracks, and those tracks are very slick and can be hard to actually gain traction on. So they're going to have to be careful on their downhill not to lose the footing here. But you can see Joyce is now deploying the power hiking. And that's one of the challenges with these big rocks and big steps is it's quite hard to find a good rhythm.
Giroux just finding that rhythm again, and now at further up, Chepenjeno, it's just opened up ever so slightly, but these rocks are still there, and she's got such good flow to her run, very, very smooth. And back on the left-hand side of your screen in Giroux. Yeah, just she's feeling it a little bit here, yeah. It looks like she's sort of on, off a little bit.
Now, she's not known as being our best climber traditionally. In the time trial, she came third, but Sierra's are now where it starts off with a 1,000-meter climb. She was quite happily sat in 5th, 6th, with Madalena Faria slightly ahead. And we've seen in previous years as well, you know, Sophia Lauchley leading out the bigger climbs. And so the fact that she's decided to take it on herself, she clearly feels good. But the longer she is there without seeing Joylene, it will start to put question marks in her mind. And because there are so few spectators up in these mountains, she won't be getting split. She won't know where anyone else is. And so it does become a bit of a mental battle. And whether she then starts to question her strategy of going out quite so hard.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe Injeru might have been happier in the pack, actually, and just there's that little bit of protection at times. But she's out here on her own, and I've not got a time check here, but that gap, I think, is continuing to grow because Cepingeno is just looking exceptional so far.
Yeah, she really is. And we've had some time checks through. We'll give you updates as we go. The big news for me so far is that no Sophia Lauchley has in fact, we're having a few issues with our time checks, but we should be able to give you the splits. If we're talking about Joylene Cepingeno, it's so rare to get someone arrive on the trail running scene as a finished article, but her story to get to here is quite astounding. She wasn't running while she until the last 2 years, and she basically was a good athlete when she was younger in school, was running with some Olympic gold medalists now, and had 2 children, put on a lot of weight, and it's not until she split up with her partner, her husband, that she then decided, I need to raise some money for my children. Saw all of her friends bringing back gold medals, bringing back money, and she then decided she was going to dedicate herself to returning as an athlete to try and win money for a family, and she's done that right here. We've also got some time splits coming through. It looks like our data is finally adjusting. We've got the time splits for the first lap, and as expected, the news of it was that Sophia was in our front chasing group, so we're not quite sure where she's gone to today. We also don't have an update yet on Marlin Osser, who is 3rd in our series, and we'll be hoping to finish ahead of Judith Weeder today to ensure that she is 3rd overall in the overall rankings.
We'll keep you up to date as we get more of those time checks coming in, and we see at the top here, and it's altitude's 1,800 meters. It's yes, certainly might cause me an issue or two running at 1,800 meters, but for these athletes, it's not like we're in Mammoth Lakes where the altitude is a massive factor, but for some it will play into it a little bit, but probably not Cepingeno or Injeru here, as we see Injeru just out of the trees a little bit of respite from the leaves. Where you've got to be concentrating. You cannot take your mind off for a second. It's one of the great things about this sport. It's just the ultimate all-round test of mind and body. Tactics absolutely key as well, and you can see just how high up the mountain we are here in southern Switzerland, the Italian-speaking part of Switzerland, very close to the Italian border as well. Won't be too long before these mountains are all covered in a blanket of white snow.
Now, if you don't know the Golden Trail World Series, to get to this final, there have been 8 races in the season so far, spread across 3 continents. The top 3 results count towards your final, so there were 200 points for a win. We then had the prologue 2 days ago with 100 points on offer, and today's race is worth 300 points. So as the current standings Joyce came into today with the perfect score, 700 points, having won 3 races in the season and the time trial prologue. Behind her was Madeleine Faria of Romania with 652 points. One of the challenges with such a long season that we've seen in previous years, though, is quite often the runners who are performing well early in the season, by the time they get to the finals, are just tired and are no longer peaking. And so last year, Madeleine Faria turned up and won the race. Judith Wieder taking a slight wrong turn when she was trying to race her down, coming in second place. And coming into these finals, there was a question mark whether Joyce would be able to maintain her form, but she seems to be improving as the season continues. And today she's looking as smooth as she has already. The fact that she's doing so well on this climb when she is as known as a really powerful descender, it is showing just quite how confident she must be feeling. And look at the gaps behind her. We can't see anyone really. There's a huge gap now between her and the chasing pack.
Yeah, big gaps out on the trail at the moment, but Joylene Cepingeno out in front on her own. It has been a masterclass so far. Can she hold it? Can she keep on going? Or is Injeru just now finding the pace, finding the rhythm that she's comfortable with? It is all about championship here for Joyce Injeru. Now she's just looking a little bit more smooth than she did on the really steep climb we had 5 minutes or so ago. But no sign of the pack yet. And if we do get an update on the time checks, we will, of course, bring it to you. Still waiting on another update yet, but we've only had the one time check so far. That was just after 1 lap, so pretty early on in the race, and things have moved on a little bit. It's the gap between Cepingeno and Injeru that I'm really interested in. I may start doing some manual timing in a second just to try and get a gap on that. See if I can count. We'll get the stopwatch ready. That graphic showing you where Cepingeno is.
Now we're here with the second woman, Joyce Injeru. She actually is part of the military cross-country team back in Kenya where she trains. So we talked about altitude, 1,800 meters our peak today, but she is used to training at 2,400 meters of altitude in Kenya. So this will just feel like home for both of our athletes indeed. But Joyce knows, she said that when she comes to these races, if she doesn't perform well, she'll actually have to go back and properly work for the military rather than being able to train. So that's one of the motivating factors. But Helen Abiri is also in the same team as her, to give you a sense of the level of athlete that she is training with day in, day out.
We see it in a few other sports, in certainly Italy, Germany, Austria, the military, police forces as well. You're doing a fantastic job of supporting athletes and providing athletes with that sort of long-term career and financial stability to go off and train. And I know in a few sports, they certainly in snowboarding, the German military actually providing coaches into the national team programs as well. So it can be a fantastic support network for these athletes, whatever sports that they are doing. And now Cepingeno out, and she's not here to enjoy the scenery. It's all about grabbing a victory in the Golden Series World Finals here in Switzerland. And what a place to have the finals as well, all coming down to this race today on what is now quite a nice Saturday afternoon in southern Switzerland. Her pacing here has been taken away, yeah.
you see that little glimpse back she had there?
Yeah.
She did give a little look back, which, given that she's running on, normally you'd look back on the corners. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but potentially a sign that she's feeling a little bit tired. Now, we've talked about who these athletes often train with. Chepengina used to train, went to school with Faith Kipyegon, the 3 times 1500 meter Olympic gold winner. They used to race each other at school, so she's had running through her DNA and talent from a young age, and not too big a gap here if we think of how recently Chepengina came through here. Joyce Giroux probably only 25 seconds down or so, 30 seconds down at this stage.
And that, with the length of this race, that is within reach. And Giroux, obviously with a little bit more experience in the series, on the trails, and I think she really has settled. And maybe you're right, maybe Chepengina just starting to feel it a little bit, because it was a frantic pace. She sat right from the start. All right, maybe we're both reading too much into it, those little glimpses. She may be just looking for a little visual cue and still feeling great. Well, I guess we'll find out as this race progresses, but very good rhythm now from Giroux. Just catching
the difference between the up and the down is quite significant as well. It's very easy to, you work incredibly hard to try and gain a gap on the uphill, and suddenly it can just vanish on the downhill. We saw in the time trial, actually, we knew that Joyce was a good runner, Joyce Giroux, and downhill, and she said in the press conference that she actually looks forward to the wet, and we weren't quite sure how she'd deal with a technical wet downhill. But in everyone who raced, including the national series who were in these races as well, the only person who was faster than Joyce Giroux was Naomi Lang, the British fell running champion, who was 6 seconds quicker over the entire race split for the downhill section. Naomi Lang, someone who's a fell runner from Scotland, is one of the best, if not one of the best in the world, down slick, wet technical trails. So the fact that Joyce Giroux was with her so close shows how skillful she is on terrain like this. So while we know that Chepengina had a good downhill at Sierras, and now I expect that Giroux, when we hit that peak, will start to reel her in. And it wouldn't surprise me if by the bottom, these two are neck and neck.
Well, that could give us such a thrilling end to this race. And talking about descending in Scotland, I mean, if you're looking for some wet descents, Scotland's about as good as anywhere on the planet for training wet descents. I can say that as a Scot, I'm used to the rain and the wind and wet leaves, wet rocks, wet tree branches, everything wet, damp, sideways rain. Thankfully, we don't have that today. I like all conditions.
This is our peak they're coming out. This is the peak they're coming up to, 1,869 meters. They're topping out at the Cima della Trossa. Views in the background of Lake Maggiore, the lowest point in Switzerland. So they won't have much time to take in these views, but given the last few days and how much rain and cloud there has been, I'm sure they'll be delighted to actually be able to take in some of the scenery on offer here today.
It's Lago Maggiore is. I mean, if anyone has a favourite of the lakes in this part of the world, that's my favourite. I rank it ahead of Como, just because it's a little quieter, lovely little town of Stresa on the lake as well. Yeah, it's a beautiful lake. Doesn't bring the crowds in as well that the likes of Garda and Como do. If you know this part of the world in northern Italy, southern Switzerland, and it's absolutely beautiful. So Joyce Giroux here, she's not too far behind. We don't have a check at the moment. There is her data at the moment. Those 3 wins, Four Sisters, Headlands, Mammoth, and of course taking the prologues. Onion flags are out on the side of the trail. Was that a few spectators again? It's good to give those athletes that little boost. Shouts of allez, allez, allez. But what a season Joyce Njeru has had, and is she going to cap it off in style? Now, David, we're starting to descend, and this is going to be such a test.
And did you see how just beautiful the running style of Joyce Njeru was there? Absolutely flowing down these trails. It'll be interesting to get a side shot of Joylyn Chipengino just to see if we can compare the two. But this is where I think Joyce Njeru will start to eat up the meters. We have had a split at the top. Chipengino came through in 35.08. Joyce Njeru through in 36.21. 1 minute 13 between them. That is certainly a difference in time that can be overcome on this downhill. 680 meters of descent now before they get to the bottom of lap 3. But wow, look at those views. Incredible scenes here in the Golden Trail final.
That is why we're here, because we are finishing in style, and we are descending now. Chepengino with over a minute advantage, but can she hold it? Because Njeru is now on this terrain, as you said, David. As everyone could see, she was looking very, very comfortable on the descent. We're sitting on the drone shot at the moment. I wonder if they could just zoom it in just a little bit for us. Maybe just get a slightly closer view of Chepengino's descending. But she's put the hard work in, and here we go. Excellent, take it away.
Oh, look at that skill. And you can see the camera runner is struggling to keep up. To give you some context, these camera runners are some of the best orienteers who compete at national level. They are incredibly skilled at downhill running, and you can now see the camera runner here. But the fact that they're struggling to keep up is it just shows you how fast and technically gifted our runners are. And if you've never run a trail like this before, this is one of the most joyful things you can do in your life. There's nothing quite more exciting than tearing down a trail. But we have had some splits from the top. There is some big updates on our top 10. Third through at the peak, Madalina Florea from Romania. She is second overall in the series, and she is only 1 minute 20 behind Joyce Njeru. That is not a significant gap at this stage in the race, and so she's in a great position to attack on this downhill as well. Behind her, Sofia Luckler, we thought she'd be climbing well, is in 4th. Sara Alonso in 5th from Spain. Judith Wieder, the Swiss orienteer, in 6th. Lauren Gregory, the American, in 7th. Aria Liacci, another Swiss runner, in 8th. Anna Gibson from America in 9th. And the open category runner, Vivian Bonzi, in 10th for Brooks Italia.
So right now, in that battle for 3rd place, Judith Wieder is working out okay for her. No sign of that. I haven't seen Malin Ossa yet. Just going to have a look further down. Am I missing her? But not yet. But can Sofia Laukley, Madeleine Florea, how good at descending are they? Can they potentially close that gap in on Njeru, who's got Chepengino in her sights as well?
If we look at this terrain here, you can see this is actually, it's quite fluid. There's not significant technicality, and it's not too steep either. So that actually means it comes more down to overall pace. So I mean, Madalena Faria, we saw in last year's final, she came into that with question marks about her downhill skills in a similar position to Cepangina, you know, having arrived at Sierra Zanao and impressed on the climbing. But we do know that she will just let go of the brakes and attack downhills if she needs to. She has a 1:11 half marathon time, a very fast runner. So we do know that Madeleine Faria has the ability to attack these downhills. Sophia, I suspect, will be slightly off the back, but these top 3 places are all going to be changing on this down.
I was very strong when I was preparing, but now I see maybe, you know, when you have a problem, you have to control, so to do not come worst. Yeah. No, I have to finish the race because this is my last race. Yeah, I have to finish. You know, when I run like this, and even when I start in Charasna, I'm seeing now I'm continue growing like that. I'm not remaining the same. So, and my children are happy. Even now, my boy was promising, well, I promised that when I win here, I buy a bicycle. Yeah. So it's a good.
Well, he's looking quite good for that bicycle at the moment. So I'm sure he's watching this, cheering on the screen, delighted. Side-by-side comparison, though, I wouldn't say that Julian Cepangina has looked quite as fluid as Joyce Njuru on that downhill. It doesn't seem to me she's attacking it with quite the same aggression and kind of delight that Joyce clearly is. But we can now see the chasing pack behind, all grouped together. And this is where it can be frustrating to be trapped behind people on this single trail. So we expect some gaps to start to grow between them. At the bottom of our screen there, I think that was Arne Gibson in the pink, or in fact, even Auria Liacci, the Swiss runner, I think, coming into view there.
Good to get a shot of the chasing pack on the descent, and one or two of them will be pretty happy to be on that descent now. So let's see if you can just catch some glimpses of the terrain behind us and the beautiful scenery that we're seeing in this part of the world at the Golden Trail World Series Finals.
Look how fast they're going now. I think that might have been Sara Alonso in the middle of the pack in the brown from Spain. I'm just trying to figure it out. Basically, the individual filming them is a gentleman called Bill who he's SALOMON Spain, and so he's likely to be filming Marlin Otter, but I don't think Marlin's this high up the field at this stage.
So yeah, the last time checked, Marlin was down in 17th. At the last time check, so
she does like to start slow, so it's not a huge surprise that she's further down the field. We've seen her tear through the field. This to me looks like Rachel Tomash from America, who's currently running, potentially ahead of her Julia Font from Spain as well, Team Brooks, which may make sense why Beard is filming. But I think we have Rachel Tomash currently on screen, the American runner, in our top 10.
It looks like she's got a good rhythm on this section, and yeah, one or two of these little switchbacks, these hairpins, can cause some problems as well. I'm not used to these sort of descents. I like these short, sharp descents outside my house. I'm very lucky, but they're over in 200 meters, so it's a little different. And my dog's usually pulling me down the hill as well when I'm out in the trails. So he'd love it up here, actually. Give me a good tow up the hill. So love a trail race where you're allowed a dog as well. So thanks to the people that allow dogs into trail races. Well, there we see it. The American just that's Looking good here, and again, credit to everyone out on the course bringing us these absolutely stunning pictures, and they're earning their lunch after this one, the work that they're doing out there.
One of the challenges for today is these downhills do punish your quads. Any kind of braking, any slowing down, and that force is just being transferred into those muscles. The fact that our runners have done the time trial prologue 2 days ago, they will be coming into this with tired legs. And when we were looking at Marlene Osser's running form going down, she does run downhill with less fluidity than some of the other runners. She's very fast, but a lot of force goes through her legs. So I'm intrigued to see how she deals with today. She often has issues with cramps in races that have slowed her down in the past. But one of the advantages that Julian Chippendina has is she did not take part in the time trial because she's not concerned with the overall rankings. And so she will not have the fatigue, she will not have the muscle breakdown or the lactic acid buildup that the rest of our top 10 have. And that's a massive advantage for her. In terms of these 10 to look out for, our descenders are, though, we know that Lauren Gregory, Judith Weider, and our top 3 are all very fast descenders. So we expect Judith and Lauren Gregory to be picking up places in this descent.
What a picture. That is absolutely stunning. You can see it this after those hairpins a little bit up on the left-hand side of your screen, long, fairly straight, a few sweeping turns, and not the steepest at this part, but it does get a little bit steeper further on, and it's certainly a real test for these athletes. I was going to ask you, David, just how much the prologue really can take it out of the athletes, with it being 2 days ago now, the prologue, and then into obviously the longer race, these finals.
It wasn't a massively long race, 7 kilometers. So they were finishing in half an hour to 35 minutes. One of the challenges, though, was it was so wet underfoot that there were several falls by athletes, tended to bounce back up, but also we'll see later on in the big descent before our last lap, when they cut down the ski slope, it was incredibly steep, and there were rocks as well, so people were having to manage their way down the trail and really slamming their legs to brake, and that's where the damage is done. And so depending on their technique, and actually the better runner that you are, it allows you to protect your legs to a certain extent. But they'll probably be okay on this descent. It's going to be on the second downhill where they'll really then feel the damage, because having then laid on extra muscle damage with this hill will make it really hard to then climb out again on a lap 4, 5, and 6. But we're seeing, you can see the difference in technique here to the bottom right of our screen, the speed in which some people are overtaking. Real talented technical specialists on display here.
It's really inviting as well, I would say, this part of the descent. But 50 minutes into the race, there's still a decent amount of this race to go. You're still thinking about managing all of those reserves, those resources that you have to see yourself through, and things could all change around as we work our way through this. We've had the 2 time checks, and we'll let you know once we get through the next one, but still a long way to go in this race. It is still Joylene Chepinjago in the lead. At that last time check, it was just over a minute. It'd be really interesting to see if that has come down. And the chase group's just starting to split a little bit as well. There we can see the pace that coming down. I think there's a little bit of couple of little drops in there as well that these athletes are just gliding over with such grace, such fluidity.
And look at the difference. It's quite hard to pick up from so far out, but whoever was in black there was just steaming down the trails. But the runner just behind, you could see, was having to put their arms out to try and balance, wasn't quite as confident, and potentially breaking a bit more and putting more damage into their legs there. But we're hoping to get some splits soon. The camera work on offer today is a mix between drones, runners, and cyclists. So we should be coming back to our lead group quite soon, but we will be changing between the cameras depending on which ones are getting reception at this stage. But you can see already the gap that runner at the front is creating. Just going through my notes to try and figure out who has been running in all black, because potentially could that be a Lauren Gregory? I mean, incredible descending skills. She's put 20 meters over the runner behind her, and increasing that lead with every step.
Well, if it is Gregory, at the last time check, the American was in 7th place, but it wouldn't take much for her to head up towards the sort of top 4, top 5, and if it is her, I think she may have done it, but it is impressive descending from this athlete. As we can see, we're having to go to the this is the big drone, it's fair to say, because of these we do get some picture breakup in the trees, as you'd expect with these things. Are we getting some athletes through? No, not yet. It's just a few more little ticks for athletes coming through time check too. Some of the open athletes as well. Here we go, back.
They're together.
Wow.
We said it could happen on the downhill. We weren't sure whether Chepengeno had the skill and the aggression on that downhill that Joyce Njuru has. The fact she's already on her, I mean, that is a quick turnaround. She caught up over 1 minute 13 on this descent. And now if you're Chepengeno, you'll be thinking, just sit on the back of her, just let her do the work. And this will be a masterclass. She'll be learning how to go through these trails. And wow, Joyce Njuru, we weren't sure whether it was a foolish decision to try and go out with the leader, but she's looking sublime at the moment, and it's starting to pull away slightly as well. Incredible descending by the Kenyan.
What a turnaround, and I think maybe tactically she, with those first sort of kilometers, she tried to go with Chepengeno, and then I think it switched in her head. No, run your own race. Let's focus here. She knows this hill, and so far, tactically, Njuru has got it spot on. And Chepengeno, I was just about to say, this is to you, David. This is a massive opportunity for her to learn descending, and she's not letting Njuru get away here and sticking with her. And Njuru's actually just decided to let Chepengeno take over at the front again.
Oh no, I think
yeah.
I'm a little bit nervous. Look how she's running. She hurt her left ankle slightly. She slowed down, and that's when Chepengeno went past. So I think she might have tweaked her ankle. The fact she's not slowed down at all has not stopped is hopefully a good sign. Often when you hurt your ankle, you get a sharp pain. It then eases and you can run. Oh, but she's really looking like she's struggling here now. We've just got to hope that pain fades and she can get through this race now, because the difference in speed, something has happened. Oh no.
It's never how you want it to play out. Such a shame. And to me, it looks like she's just she's a little bit more on her right side, on her right leg. I might be reading too much into that, but it just looks like the balance is not quite what she would want there. Maybe she's able to kind of run it off, but it's always there in the back of your mind, isn't it? And on this type of terrain, you can't protect it, can you? There's not a lot you can do.
And thankfully, this is looking like a smoother trail now. She might be able to pick the pace up a little bit. And often with ankle issues, we did see in the men's there, Joe had oh no. And as you say, this is the trouble. You lose confidence, and each time you go over on the ankle, it does hurt more. It becomes harder and harder to run through that pain. Oh, we just got to hope that it eases off. And quite often what will happen when you turn your ankle, you get that adrenaline spike, you get an intense pain that can ease, but if you can run through it, you are able to fight on to the end. They are coming to the end of the first significant descent. We will come back through the cheer zone before they go into section to loop 4. There was 680 meters of down, and this climbing might give her a chance to slightly settle her nerves, to actually not have to think too much about it. But this could be a significant difference in our race.
And we heard her as well. There was just that little noise she made, and I think that told everybody that she might be struggling here. She's battling hard, not letting Cepingeno get too far away here. But you never want to see a race, potentially even a championship, decided in this sort of way. Let's hope. We know she's tough. We know she's strong, physically and mentally. It's the last race of the season. Can she just see it out? I'm keeping an eye on the time checks because Cepingeno and Ingeru through time check 3, but it's obviously they were just 4 seconds apart at that time, but it's the gap to the rest of the pack that we're going to keep an eye on as well.
They've still got 3 more laps. They've still got 3 more laps to go after this. There is a significant climb of 600 meters and a short, sharp descent. One of the big question marks now is she's struggling on terrain like this. When she gets to that aggressive downhill ski slope, she will be potentially forced into having to completely slow down to protect her ankle, and that is where you can bleed time. Madalena Florea is hunting her down. She was a minute behind at the last checkpoint. If she can catch her, she'll then sense that this is her opportunity to try and win the overall series. We know Florea needs to win by over 3 places ahead of Joyce Ingeru to win the overall series. So that will be in Joyce's mind, and if Madalena can catch her, she'll know that it's not just the race that she could beat her in, but potentially the whole series.
And Florea, maybe knowing it with the extra point, 282 points, isn't it, for second place today, and that just can help with the championship with the extra points available. Well, here we go, first shot of the chasing pack for a while,
and they're working together. Lauren Gregory at the front of the pack. You know, she's moved to the east coast of America to be near her coach, which has given her the opportunity to run on terrain like this. Sophia Laukley cleverly tucked in behind a sandwich with Madalena Florea behind. So they all seem very content to work together here. Lauren is the more technically gifted of these 3, and that means she's good on these rocky terrain. And for someone like Sophia, she'll be happy to be able to run following the paths that Lauren is able to take. And Madalena Florea will be happy to not have to lead this section. It can be quite draining mentally to always be deciding which route to take and looking at your feet. And this is Nermi Lang and Judith Wieder. We've mentioned them both before. Sara Alonso from Spain in behind. And then Aurea Liachi, the Swiss runner. Naomi Lang is doing incredibly well. She's not actually in the overall series. She's coming through the national series. She won the prologue downhill 2 days ago. So the fact that those two are behind so close to our chasing pack, it wouldn't surprise me if Judith Wieder and Naomi Lang are joining them quite soon, and we extend to a chasing pack of 5 runners.
Yeah, Lang, Wieder, and Alonso are all within 10 seconds of each other. Less than a minute between that group and the Gregory, Lockley, and Florea group. But that, looking at the gap there, David, at that time check, Gregory, Lockley, and Florea, 4:39 to 4:41 off of the leaders at the time. That's starting to grow to, well, pretty healthy margin, but with it is the condition of Joyce and Jeru that we really want to focus on. Can she manage herself through this race? It is going to be very, very tricky.
Anna Gibson here, the American runner ahead of, and Marlon Osser is now at the back of this 4. We've talked about how she likes to start slowly. We know she has to beat Judith Wieder in the overall standings to take 3rd place today, but she is picking up places. She's very good downhill, and she's entering our top 10. She's closing in on the top 10. Now, significant, in fact, she is through. She's now up to 10th, Marlon Osser. You said 4 minutes is the gap difference between Joyce and Jeru and the chasing pack. That is a lot to overcome, but significantly note, though, the fact there are so many runners in that pack. If Joyce falls behind them and Madalena gets ahead, the 3 positions difference that Madalena Florea needs to win our season will go within seconds. So Joyce has to stay ahead of the entire pack, because if she falls behind one, she's going to lose this series.
A question from a relative novice and myself: how aware would these athletes are going to get the time checks when they pass through? So are they aware of those gaps themselves? Just how aware will they be? And then would potentially Madalena Florea look to take it up within that group and go actually drive it on, because that gap does need to be closed on. But the danger, I guess, if she does that, she could not bring the others with her, and she needs those others to put the distance, doesn't she? In terms of the championship.
They will be getting some time checks when they come through the crowds. So when they go through the aid stations. One of the challenges in races like this, though, is that you're often given information by people trying to be helpful, and it's very hard to estimate a 4-minute time gap when someone goes by. And so it's likely that the front of the race won't be getting the news, partly because they're not from teams. They have not got their sponsors here. They don't have as many people on the course that they know that they run with, but also because people will be taking the splits as they come through. And so Joylene, Chippingino, and Joyce and Jeru might not get as much information as the chasing group, but you're right. Madalena will have to decide whether she wants to try and chase them down or not. The good news for her, though, is that Sophia Laukley, the best climber, is in that group. If she can get Naomi Lang in that group as well, the best descender, she's then got 2 weapons that she can sit behind, never having to lead out herself. She can
I was going to say, yeah.
Last lap.
She's got the climber to help her up the hill, the descender to help her down, as we see. These are the gaps that we were talking about right now. Chippingino and out in front. It's been a fantastic race. Helped a little bit by now again, but the problem that Injiru has, we think, with her left ankle. We're speculating, but she's definitely got a problem out there. But the descent that Injiru put together to close that gap of just over a minute it was on Chippingino, and now Chippingino out on her own again and back in more comfortable terrain for her as well. So she'll be I think a little happier to be off of the descent onto these the trails again, just slight climbing over this little bridge. And you see so much of this in this part of the world. Apologies, a little bit of picture breakup in the trees, so we'll go back, see some of the chasing runners here.
And you suspect that Cepangino must know that there's been a problem with Joyce Njuru. The speed at which she suddenly disappeared off the back. She may have even seen her tweak the angle. She would have heard the noise, the yelps of Joyce. So she must be aware that her biggest rival has now disappeared, which actually might work well for everyone else. She might ease up a little bit and relax into it. For me in that top 10 group, though, to see Naomi Lang up there, we've wanted to get her on tour for a while now. She's won the British Fell Running Championships. She came to Tatra Sky race to race her first Golden Trail, and unfortunately that race was cancelled because of the terrible conditions. So today is a real first opportunity to show us what she's got, and the fact she's up in the top 10 with Gtws, I mean, an incredible talent from such a young athlete.
A fantastic performance, and if she finishes in that top 10, I think we may see her on the Golden Trail World Series a little more next season.
Here's highlights of the women's prologue on our screen here. Madalena Florea sprinting out of the gates. Joyce Njuru there. I mean, the speed at which they attacked this course. It was a 7-kilometer time trial. They finished in less than half an hour. The athletes were set out in 1-minute gaps. So you could never actually know where your opposition was. And so for our athletes, if they wanted to try and win this race, they had to give it their all the way through. But you can just see how wet these conditions were. It was incredibly hard to run these downhills without falling over. But Joyce Njuru coming through, winning the time trial yesterday. Significantly for me, it was the downhill that separated them. She was 30 seconds up on Lauren Gregory in that time trial. Really came to the fore for the first time. Her first time in second place in the Golden Trail. Madalena Florea in third place and Sophia Laukley in fourth. Gtws finishing our top 5. But you can see how different those conditions were. And thankfully for Joyce, this drier terrain should actually help her a little bit on the downhill, and the fact that she's got some climbing now will hopefully give her enough time to forget about that injury.
It's long enough that she's may be able to just try her best to ease a little bit of the stress going through her body, but it's maybe just come off a little bit. Focus, set a pace, set a rhythm, see if she can run her way back into this race. It's not an easy thing to do.
Now, one of the challenges of the series is we talked about Naomi Lang and how she came to Poland. She's come to our final, but a lot of our athletes are full-time athletes, and if you're not someone who's able to do that, it can be incredibly hard to train to the level you need to perform at these. Naomi is actually a medical student herself, I think a second-year medical student, so working incredibly hard and unable to come to all of the races in the Golden Trail, which is why it's such a delight to see her performing well today. Just giving you a glimpse into what may have been had she had the opportunity to be a full-time athlete, which hopefully once she becomes a doctor, we often see people like Dania Sands then focusing full-time on being an athlete, and hopefully that is in her future.
Yeah, well said. And you know, the fact that at the last check she was well in that chase group in 6th place suggests, well, we know she's got the ability to mix it with the world's best, and if she can hang on to a top result here, there might be a little bit of a clamour for some more sponsorship to get behind her. And here we go into this gear zone. Fantastic atmosphere driving these athletes on, entering the 4th lap, and it does give you a lift, doesn't it? It just gives you that little boost, and you almost forget about things for a few seconds and just soak that atmosphere up and use the energy of the crowd to drive you forwards. And Champion Jano out in front at the moment, as she has been pretty much from the gun here. Just that little moment where Injiru closed in on the descent, and then immediately Injiru having a problem.
Now this section here, this is where, if I was Joyce Injiru, I'd be nervous. You see the hand over there. She's getting a nutrition. She's likely to be getting some updates on splits and things now. So she hasn't dropped off the pace too much.
Not a huge amount, maybe 30, 40 seconds, if that.
And you can see our tents there in the background and breathing in the lovely smoke that they've created to get the energy as they go through. If I was Joyce Injiru, though, this is part of the prologue that would give me the biggest fear, because this section now is very rutted. They're going to be running through with a lot of roots, a lot of stones, and it's very hard to actually run through this at speed if you're nervous of your ankles. And so, even though this isn't that steep, it wouldn't surprise me if this is the section that Joyce starts to lose a bit of speed and time on the chasing pack. And you can see how much they're having to pull left and right, and those angles that they're running on is you're really having to put a different level of force through your ankles. All concerning for her, I'm sure, at this stage in the race. Now, this next lap is 4.2 kilometers, a loop back before they go out on our big final climb, a 600-meter climb with only 3.7 kilometers of the loop. So once they complete this lap, there are a very steep up, a very steep down before they come through for that last 1.3 kilometer final sprint lap. So this is the moment where, if you're Madeline Fleury, if you're that chasing group, you need to start to pick up the pace now. They'll be getting the time splits as they go through the cheer zone, and she needs to make a move if she's going to catch them. But significantly, Lauren Gregory by herself now. She's broken away on the descent into our cheer zone and is clearly ahead of the rest of the pack. Lauren Gregory from America, currently in 3rd place. What a run from her.
Yeah, really, really impressive. And now, with the finish line not too far away, she's running a superb race, and it looks like it's all-out attack from Lauren Gregory here.
We've seen this a lot this year, and the last few years we've started to see a lot of good American track runners breaking through into the trail scene. We have people like Arne Gibson, who are a dual track and trail sponsored athletes. We've had Alia Strander on the screen a little bit earlier as well, who's a fantastic steeplechaser. But Lauren, she has a 5K time of 15:17, an incredibly good road and short distance runner who has been hoping to transfer to the Golden Trail this season, and she's been doing it incredibly well. For her to be up in 3rd place, dropping Sophia and Madalena at this stage of the race, just shows the confidence she's got and the talent she has at such a young age.
I love seeing athletes across sports where you can mix the disciplines up. Going track, to road to trail. It's fantastic. See it a lot in cycling, and these days so many of the road racing talents have coming through cyclocross as well, cross-country mountain bike, and it just makes you such a well-rounded athlete, and that is ultimately, you know, a very, very good thing for your performance.
Yeah, and she changed coach specifically with the intent of adapting to trail. So she moved to New Hampshire. So and here she comes through. Lauren Gregory now in third place. I believe it's saying second. I don't think that is true, because this is third place. Joyce Njiru has already been through this section of the course. Look at the smiles. She is loving this. Running past the Bass flag there. And she was a track runner in college. She's been running the 5K Olympic trials in the winter and the spring, and then she moved to New Hampshire to be near her coach, where she could really adapt to these kind of technical trails. The big challenge for her, though, is when you're running 5Ks, you're running track, you don't have to think about nutrition quite as much. And she said to me before that she's coming into this with zero strategy. She's just going to run to feel, and that she's hoping she's learning. And you can see there the speed difference, because Madalena is taking on nutrition. She's slowed down to ensure she's finishing her bottles, and she's adjusting. But I mean, she looked like she'd slowed down there, Madalena Furia. I mean, she had a bottle in tow, and I thought we'd see a change of pace from her. I mean, thinking about how Lauren came through, maybe the crowd gave too much adrenaline to Lauren, and actually she was sprinting for the crowds. But to me, it didn't look like Madeleine Ferrier was running with chasing down Joyce in mind. And Naomi Lang, the Scottish runner, here in the top 10 of the Golden Trail for the first time, looking confident as well, taking on her water bottles, ready for another attack. So
fantastic to see her running in the top 10.
Downhill.
Yeah, fourth place right now, Sophia Laukley. 5:26 was the time check there, but not far behind Lauren Gregory. But Florea, as you were saying, she just, is it going to be right towards the end of the race? Does she make a move? Does she go for it? She just, I'm with you. I thought she might have tried to take it up in that group and try and drive it, get control of the race from her point of view, because there is an outside chance. She might not, of course, know that there is a situation potentially up ahead with Joyce Njiru, but it is still a very big gap as we head back to Joyce Njiru here. She's moving okay, David. She's moving okay.
She is. And we haven't, if we look at her running there, you wouldn't know that she's had an ankle issue. She's looking like she's moving fluidly over the... Oh, is she? Yes, as soon as I said that, I questioned my statement.
Oh.
But speaking of Madalena as well, if you've just joined us, we're looking at second place in the race at the moment, Joyce Njiru, and it looks like she's close. It looks like it looks as if first and second Chepanjano was in vision as well. So Joyce is closed. So in third place here is Lauren Gregory. She is not in the overall rankings to be top 5 in our series, but behind her, and you can see some of the challenges in filming today.
Dear blowout there. It's had the inner tube out of the off the rim on the top. Oh yeah. Apologies if you know some foreign languages and some choice words.
But we can see first and second together again. So Joyce Njiru has picked the pace up on the downhill. So clearly the ankle is no longer an issue right now. She's changing the pace. And for her, this is exactly what she needs. Having someone ahead of her to keep her positive, to have a target will keep her moving quickly. And we were saying one of the challenges is for Madalena Farias, who was 4 minutes back at the peak, and she needs to not only catch Joyce Njiru, but to put 3 extra places between her and Joyce to win the overall series, which she's not looking like doing right now. So Joyce Njiru back in the game.
What mental strength to be able to just push through what looked like a rather challenging moment for Njiru and drag herself back into contention, not only for the race, but to cement the championship as well. And it's building, David, isn't it? It's building towards what could be a frantic finish between first and second place. We'll see how all of this is going to play out. So over the next 30 minutes or so, maybe a fraction longer. But great to see Njiru now looking just a little bit more comfortable again on that ankle, and has Chepinjenu for company up ahead. Can she just keep her within her sights?
And it's going to be an absolutely brutal finish. We saw the final descent into the cheer zone in our prologue, and it's so technical, it's so steep, and to have the two of them this close, if they hit that point knowing there's only a 1.3 kilometer sprint to the end, it is going to be furiously fast, where Joyce will have to attack that with aggression to get some distance to ensure she can win this race. Now, if you don't know Joylene's story, we've mentioned how she returns to running having ran as a schoolgirl. She actually lost 30 kilograms of weight to get into race condition. She did that by deciding, I'm going to run 40 kilometers a day for a year. That's what she went out and did. I don't know how she got through that without being injured, but what a transformation she's had. At the end of that, she then did some steeplechase races to see whether she had some speed, whether she'd be able to compete in that, realized that it didn't have the prize money to bring home to her family, went on a training camp with Beatrice Chebet, and then came to Sierra Zanao and won it. But look at this, she's showing no confidence in leading these downhills, and this to me is where experience helps. Chepinjeno should be slicing around those corners and trying to save a yard here and there, but she looks like she's just jogging really these downhills, not wanting to put any aggression into these descents. So, if Joyce is happy to sit in this pace behind, that's the opportunity where our chasing pack can catch up time and our front two.
Well, the two leaders all just about back. Well, they are back together again, and you see, as soon as Chepinjeno just hit the tarmac and that little rise, there was a little injection. She felt immediately, you could see the confidence back in her running, but now she has got Njiru behind her. And this little section, if Njiru's still feeling any issues with the ankle, at least it's some solid ground. She can find a rhythm and just maybe test it out a little bit more. Don't have the changes in direction, the roots, the rocks, and it's a little bit more, a little bit of an opportunity for her, but we shall see how this one all plays out. Lago Maggiore. Beautiful.
It's quite hard to see that. That is an incredibly steep road they are running up at that section. Even walking up that road feels difficult. So the fact they were moving so quickly still, I think the energy of the crowds there helping them through. They will be returning into that cheer zone again, and that's when they'll be more likely to get the split. So they'll go into the last 6K of the race knowing what they've got to do left to protect those leads, and Joyce thinking about the overall series victory in addition to winning the race today.
The Golden Trail World Series finals here in Switzerland, and we have got a thriller of a race building. We started earlier on, about an hour and a half ago, and it was the Kenyans that took us off and led from the front. Joylene Chepjeno powering away at the start. She built the early lead, and the championship leader Joyce Njiru settled into second place as we worked our way up to over 1,800 meters. Looking back through the early exchanges of this race, the two leaders built up that advantage. Chepjeno was ahead on the first of the long climbs that we have experienced in this race here today. Tough terrain, and it opened up at the top with Chepjeno still having the advantage, but the descending was to come. The two Kenyans have been the standout athletes so far in this race. There's still quite a lot to play for here in Switzerland at the Golden Trail World Series finals. Ian Finlay and David Hellard in the commentary box for you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us wherever you're watching. It has been intriguing so far. We got onto the descent, and Joyce Njiru caught up. But right about this moment here, there was just as the two athletes back together, Njiru having a little problem with her ankle right here. You could see it, and that allowed Chepjeno to get back in front. She built up a lead of around about 45 seconds to a minute. And as we'll see fairly shortly, it all came back together again. Second place, third place at the moment, Lauren Gregory, Sophia Laukley in fourth, Madalena Florea, who had an outside chance of taking the championship. A little further down the standings at the moment, but the leaders, all two leaders back together at the front of the race. Florea needing to beat Njiru by 3 places if she wanted to take the title. But David, what a race it's been so far, and we're seeing Njiru in second place here.
It really has, and you're joining us now where they're going out on lap 5. This is the very steep climb. It's only a 3.7k lap, but they've got 600 meters of climbing, and that 3.7k is the out and back. So we saw in the first half of this race that Joyce was quite happy to sit back and let Joylene do the climbing, knowing that she could catch her on the descents. But since she's tweaked that ankle, she hasn't looked quite as aggressive, quite as confident or fluid. And so there is a big question mark now. If Joylene Chepjeno can build a big lead up this 600-meter climb, will that give enough of a gap to ensure the victory? Joyce Njiru is not only thinking about today's result, she'd obviously love to win, but she's leading our overall series, and she knows that she just needs to not make any big mistakes from here. Madalena Florea is chasing her down with a lot of other runners close by, and so if anything goes wrong and Joyce suddenly starts to shed places, Madalena Florea could be back in with a chance of winning the overall title this season. But we do have some splits of the last checkpoint coming through to give us an update on what's going on in our top 10. We knew that Joylene and Joyce Njiru were first through. In third place at the moment is Lauren Gregory, our American trail runner, new to the Golden Trail this year, 4 minutes back on our race leader. Sophia Laukley from Salomon and America is in 5th place, last year's series winner. Judith Weider, currently third overall in the series, tied at third. 5 times world orienteering champion is in 5th. Sarah Alonso in 6th. And the newcomer, Naomi Lang from Scotland, in 7th. The big question behind this front two, though, is where is Marlon Osser? She was in joint 3rd place at the beginning of this race. She needs to beat Judith Weider to find out if she can win 3rd place overall in our series. This is a recap of Joyce's year to date. We're going to be hearing from her on her tactics today and how this year has been.
Once in the competition, so it's you have to give. It's either you go for the podium, or this is all about giving everything that you have and to be in the competition mode. So for me, I will protect it, wait for it, and just to give the best of me. I'm excited to see the course and also to run through it, but I think I'm always equal to the challenge. So no matter what the challenge is, then I'm equal to do it. It will be the greatest achievement for me since the last year, the years that I have been doing the trail running, and it will keep on motivating me, like to keep on doing and to show how the capability that I have, and also to feel like yes, I have done and I'm getting the better side of my passion.
Well, fantastic.
I love the fact she said
to hear. Yeah.
I love the fact she said she's going to defend it. She said, I will defend my overall series lead, but actually as soon as the gun went, she started sprinting off, and she was just concerned with overall victory in the race.
That's the true racer in her, though, isn't it? You know, that just has to win, has to win. And I think maybe then she realized, wait a minute, championship here. Ultimately, that is the goal. We heard from her speaking so well in the interview that it is the overall that matters after such a long, grueling season. And right now, she is doing a fantastic job of getting that championship title. But Lauren Gregory, really impressive, David. She has worked her way up to third place, out on her own at the moment, and yeah, looking like she's going well here.
We knew she was good after the prologue. She came second in our time trial 2 days ago, but to be ahead of Madalena Faria, Sophia Laukli, last year's series champion, is really, really impressive. And she seems to have an all-round trail game. Very fast on the technical descents, but has been climbing so strongly as well. And the fact she's in third now in the finals, this is announcing a new trail running queen who, a beginning of career for her, which so much promise going forward.
A lot of promise indeed. Can she see it out and find her way onto the podium today? She's got Judith Vida, Sara Alonso, and behind her, not too far behind, Naomi Lang from Scotland at the last time check, up into 7th place as well. But for me, it was between time check 4 and 5, Lauren Gregory sort of eating into that gap as well at the front of the race, which is impressive. And there we see where Gregory is. We're topping out at just over 1,300 meters on this climb. Not as high as we went earlier, but getting into the business end of this race here.
And if you are sat with your phone watching this, go and watch some of the footage of the downhill from the Golden Trail series. You'll see quite how tricky and technical the descent we have coming up is. It's running down a ski slope. It's almost free fall, and that is going to be towards the end of this race. We have the most gifted trail runners on earth on display here, and when you see them take down that go down the ski slope, it is astounding quite how skillful they are at bringing their speed to the bottom without falling over. So get on Instagram and have a search.
Well, you can catch the recap of the whole season of the Salomon Golden Trail World Series very, very soon. Next week, October 28th, you should be able to catch that and enjoy all of the action that we've seen throughout the season that started back in Japan. Well, out on the road at the moment, or not the road, is it? Well, they're kind of on a road right now, but it's trail running, isn't it? Joylene Chipjano at the front of the race with Joyce Njeru in second, just looking down at some of the chasers. We have
this is the Judith Reader at the front there with Sophia Lockley just off the back, and we've got Rachel Tomash here in the black, the American athlete. I believe that was Marlon Osser just ahead of her, but we're now back with our leader coming through for the halfway up our climb on the penultimate lap now, and she's still look just eating up this ascent, not looking tired at all.
Got a bit of fluid to take in as well, and I think from what I've seen, that's the first I've seen her take on. I may be wrong in that. We may have missed her take some fluid on earlier in the race, but at this stage, probably when you're starting to want to hydrate a little bit more, the body's really feeling it. It's such a grueling race in the tough circuit out here today in Switzerland, southern Switzerland, just above Lago Maggiore as well, which links into Italy. We've got this little chasing group here, and it's a good time of the race to have a couple of people around you as well, David. You can, if you're feeling it, maybe you can lean on someone else just a little bit, get a help up this climb, because the finish line is starting to be within reach. It's not too far away.
And that's certainly one of the factors of trail running. You will see groups changing places, where we saw Malinosa at the back there, where they're quite happy to sit in behind the good climbers, and then as they hit the descent, switch who's leading as the technical specialists take over. But we're just about to get a split through. It looks as if Joyce has dropped back quite considerable time in this last half a lap. She's still not come through that checkpoint that we saw Chebangina go through. So already a minute down, maybe even more. In fact, we've just got a split.
Just got it, yeah. 2:06. So where is Gregory? That is going to be really, really interesting to see, because Njeru may be struggling a little bit here, but it's Chepangeno has set a fantastic pace, and for someone that's so inexperienced at this level trail running, I'm blown away by how well she's handled this race today, and the victory now is starting to look a little more likely, isn't it? It's been a stunning performance so far. Surely got to see it home from here.
To have pulled out 2 minutes in that last small lap, it just shows that she's managing her race so well, and she looks so much stronger coming out of this age station than Joyce did. There was only a 4-second difference at the last checkpoint, so the worry now that Joyce is aware that the victory is gone, she needs to keep on working. She did have a good cushion over Lauren Gregory, but as soon as you lose that focus, you lose that aggression, it can be very easy for the times to slow down significantly. But Joylene looking like she's not going to be slowing down at all today, still attacking these climbs, and that has been one factor of her race. It's just how good she is at the climbs compared to anyone else. You don't need the technical skill or the experience quite as much. That's where your engine does most of the work, and she just looks so comfortable even on these steep climbs. We've mentioned how this is a 600 meter climb in a very short space of time. So even if it's not looking steep, believe me, this is lung busting climbing going on here, and she's making it look easy right now.
No doubt about who the best climber is, as you can see on screen. Shoylene Chepenjano, and it's once she hits those climbs, she goes up through a gear. And we go back to the athlete in second place, Joyce Njiru. Still got no time check for Gregory yet, so that gap between second and third still pretty healthy, but it's only growing between first and second right now. If you're just joining us, Njiru, I think, picked up a little niggle after the first big long descent where she closed in on Chepenjano. The race was all brought back together, and she's managed to run her way through. She is just managing herself through to the end of this race in the hope she can hold on to the position she needs to finish. Well, she finishes in second. If she finishes in third, she'll take the title. It's all about what Madalena Florea does. There needs to be a 3-place difference with Florea ahead of Njiru. That doesn't look like it's going to happen here, but Njiru, David, not looking that comfortable. We've now got a time check on Gregory. 5:31 off Chepenjano, so 3.5 minutes between Njiru and Gregory.
And did you see as she came through there? That was Ren, Arne Gibson's boyfriend, who was clearly feeding her information there. Lauren Gregory will know exactly the time split. And if I was Ren, I'd be saying, this is the time split. She's looking tired. She's hurt her ankle. Everything you would be feeding Lauren right now would be positive news. But behind her, it's super close. Judith Weider now in 4th place. And this is one of the challenges with leading. You've got to make the decisions. You've got to see where the trail goes. But Lauren Gregory, she's not got it all to herself. Only 45 seconds behind her is Judith Weider and Sophia Lockley. So Judith and Sophia are together. They know each other incredibly well. They've climbed together Pikes Peak pretty much the whole of the race together. Sophia is the best climber in this chasing pack. So if you're Judith right now, you can sit behind Sophia, get a free ride to the peak, and that is where Judith can... And there is Judith Weider on screen now. Sophia Lockley just behind. I suspect they'll be changing positions within the next 50 meters or so. Judith content to sit behind. But wow, this race for the 2nd through to 5th is going to be incredibly close, because that lead that Joyce has over Lauren Gregory is not enough, in my mind, given how she's running now, to be able to protect it all the way to the finish line.
There's a chance as well that we could end up before the finish line with potentially a group of 3 in Gregory, Weider and Lockley, because there wasn't, as you said, 45 seconds or so between them. That could potentially come back together. We shall see how that one plays out. But at the front of the race, Chepenjano not looking like she's in any bother, unlike Joyce Njiru here, who just seems to have a little burst and then comes off. I think she's really feeling it out there, and you can understand it, especially if you're carrying an injury. A little look over the shoulder. We've seen that a few times today from Chepenjano, but it doesn't seem to be causing any cause for concern. If anything, it's the descents for the Kenyan leader that she's not quite as strong on yet. I've got a feeling she's going to get pretty handy at them if she keeps running at this level. Back to Joyce Njiru. It's all about the championship. Just got to see this race home. Get to the finish line. Pick up enough points. Doesn't matter. If she can hang on to the podium, I think she'll be delighted. But finishing on top of the overall, that is her goal.
Now, we've talked about this descent. The descents to come. They're not significantly long, but boy, are they steep. We saw them 2 days ago. The first section at the top, it's quite open. It may potentially be quite slick. We saw a lot of people fall, but that is the area that if you are feeling good, and look at Joyce Njiru here now. She's really suffering. We do know from her style, she does like to mix up stomping, walking, and running, but she's walking a lot more than she has in previous races. She's really starting to look tired here. I've not seen her this season look this bad when she's been running well. It's reminding me of Sierra Zanau as she started to shed places, and that must be in the back of her mind. She's been here before, and she's been up to the front of races and lost 3, 4, 5 places. If she does that today, there's a risk she'll lose the whole series. But you can see here, they're now climbing up. These are created for skiing. And over the top, look how open these mountains are. They'll be running down trail, a similar level of technicality. So if you're feeling good, you can absolutely fly. And for Joyce, that is a worry because the people behind her were looking so supremely relaxed. Lauren Gregory, Judith Weider, and Sophia Lauchley. And so this second place gap is being ebbed away as they climb to our final peak.
It looks like once Njiru gets on slightly smoother terrain, she's way more comfortable at the moment, and this is steep. This is super steep. And our race leader, Chepinjano, with a really nice rhythm to it, just staying in the zone. She's managed her resources so well throughout this race, but step by step, picking the meters by. This could be a real test once Njiru hits this section. Yes, it's remarkable, isn't it? Absolutely remarkable.
Incredibly steep, this top section, and we've got the Polish journalist in the background there, and Iriu, our Spanish cameraman, on screen. But and actually, this to me is where, if we look at Joyce Njiru, but there are some other athletes as well. When we see Judith Weider come up here, she will be stomping this, and actually, I think Joylene is using up too much energy by persisting with this run. Because of the gradient, she would be far more efficient and potentially even faster if she stopped running at that point and started power walking. But often the athletes don't want to they think of walking as a weakness, or they just don't want to lose that rhythm. They want to keep their aggression. They want to feel like they're running and in control of the race. And maybe it's an intentional decision to carry on running rather than using the speed of a power hike. But for me, she should be saving her legs, power hiking, and getting ready to attack that downhill.
Is that some of the inexperience that she's got in these kind of races? And just now we see, I think she's just feeling it a little bit now. Again, little slip there. You're going to get that, and it's about as slippy a terrain as we've had in this course, as an hour and 50 of racing has ticked by, and it is so steep. Well, the camera doesn't show you just how steep it is, and you can tell with Chepinjano, no, she still wants to run it, David. She's still looking to try and run everything she can. I love it.
And one of the benefits of hiking is it's not just it can be more efficient, but often you then engage your glutes in a slightly different way. You do have a different muscle usage. And speaking to people like Kilian Jornet, your John Albans, they go out and they'll train where at steep inclines, they'll do short steps, then long strides, so that they can get used to using different muscle groups in different ways. And it saves your legs for later in the race. And so it is a little bit of naivety for me on offer here. I don't think it's going to matter too much, but the fact that the Joyce is hiking this now, I'm surprised to see that. I think she must be tired. But look how long that climb is and the fact it's so open. We've talked about the need for Joyce to protect her lead, but if you're Lauren Gregory, if you're Judith Wieder, you'll be able to see Joyce Sinjuru when you get to the base of that, and you'll suddenly feel like you're hunting, you're getting closer, you're making progress. And so being the chasing athlete here is a huge advantage on a long climb, because you feel like you're in control and you feel like you're starting to make a difference in denting that lead they've got.
Yeah, they're going to see her. They might see her even struggling, and they've got maybe the three of them potentially that could be working together if they're coming back together. Such a contrast in styles, in, I think, energy in the tank as well. But Injiru, and you see Injiru almost, she's zigzagging around as well, where Cepegino was just going straight up. And that's maybe just the experience of Injiru, knowing that this is one of the toughest, possibly the toughest section of the race, and she has just got to do what she can.
Putting her hands on. You see her putting her hands on her quads there. If you haven't got poles with you, that is the equivalent. You're actually taking up some of the force into your arms. And we know with poles, it can actually reduce the load by about 30%. It won't be quite that much with her arm usage. But again, she's sharing and spreading the climb and the intensity across the different muscle groups. Now, if you want to know how quickly this downhill can be attacked, in the prologue, the time trial from top to bottom took them less than 8 minutes. Think how long we've been watching this climb from the last checkpoint from the cheer zone, how long that has taken. And 2 days ago, they did the entire descent in less than 8 minutes. Nurmi Lang, our fastest descender. Joyce Sinjuru, the second fastest. I don't think she will be today. I think that ankle will weigh down on her. I think also she's too tired to really flow down these downhills. But Lauren Gregory and Judith Wieder, who for a long time has been known as the best descender in the world, they will both be attacking this downhill. And that 2-3 minute lead that Joyce had coming through the last checkpoint could vanish in an instant. Really having to stomp up there, though. But you can see just at the top, it's shallowing a little bit.
It's been a remarkable climb from that Cepegino, and the views behind her are not something she is worried about. Some hands on the ground from Injiru. She really is struggling here. Haven't got a sight of any of the chasers yet. Can't quite make them out at the moment, but they might have Injiru in their sights relatively soon. Oh, this is so steep as well, we've got to say. And it's come after an hour and 55 of racing. Just
it's
so difficult.
It's worth noting the way we have this trail. This is reflective of the downhill. You can see there is a trail there, but actually often on the side there's better grip. It's more predictable and in some ways smoother, because you don't have to put your foot in a narrow channel. And so for me, coming out to the side is actually the better place to be running right now and to be stomping right now. It will feel like there's less change with every step. But coming over the final peak of our finals is our leader, Cepegino, now flowing towards our finish line. She has a quick descent and then a 1.3k lap to go once she comes through that final cheer zone. But look at the body language. Looking back again and again, she feels like she's been caught.
Good.
Well, Injiru, it's just, she's thinking about, probably not even thinking about the overall. It's all about where does this climb end? You can see that little look up the hill is doing everything possible just to see her way through this. And again, I think she's starting to get a little nervous. She knows she's struggling here.
Super steep, and if you're feeling bad and you feel like they're coming for you in your head, you're visualizing them untired. You're just, all you can think about is negativity, and you can get trapped in a spiral. We've got to hope that she can get to the peak with enough distance to then feel confident that she can flow down this downhill, because if she has to brake on the downhill, she gets nervous and negative. Given her ankle, she needs to be able to flow through the top half of this downhill to not lose too much time, because that technical descent right at the bottom is going to be too hard for her to attack with the ankle she has right now.
Race leader out in the open alpine meadows, these ski slopes, hiking trails, mountain bike trails around this part of the world. And Jolene Cepingeno has put together a stunning race, and now it is descending. She's got a big advantage over the athlete in second place, Joyce Injiru. And again, she still looks like she is flowing beautifully throughout this race.
Coming up to the peak shortly. We'll be getting a split at our peak. We do know that Jolene Cepingeno came through in 1:55.21. Incredible time to be topping our peak on this course. 24k of running today. But as soon as we get the split on Joyce, will give us an indication not just of how far behind she is our leader, but actually if she is losing too much time on this climb, and how likely it is she will be caught on the descent by our powerful descenders all lining up behind her.
Injiru, just as the terrain eases a little bit, puts a few quicker steps in. The top of the climb in sight for Injiru. Again, she's looking for everything she can, just those few quick steps. The rhythm has gone. That gives you a better idea just how tough it is on this climb. But it's the athletes in third, fourth, fifth that we haven't caught sight of yet, but we'll see how they are going. They must be on. They'll be on the bottom of the climb now as Cepingeno is descending, and she might not know the gap that she's got, but she will know that she's got a useful advantage. She'd have been looking over here. Is Gregory, and already looking a little bit more comfortable than Injiru did on this section.
I mean, she is in complete control here. You can see she's looking up. She's at the moment, you've got to think Lauren Gregory has Joyce Injiru in her sights. And even looking back on as she came over the top, and we got a bit of an insight into how well Jolene is flowing on this downhill. Compared to a few days ago, she and our runners, she wasn't looking particularly fast on that downhill. And one of the challenges of this course with 6 different laps is that you're having to repeatedly trash your legs on the down. And so pacing yourself in a race like today is not just about your energy levels, it's about protecting your legs so that you can deploy them on this final downhill. And Joyce Injiru has come through the top 5 minutes and 14 behind our race leader. 5:14. So she has shed 3 minutes to the race leader on that final climb, and not a great sign of how she's feeling right now. And to me, that signifies that she is being tracked by our closing pack, and the advantage is with Lauren Gregory right now to be taking that second place.
Joyce and Giroud now descending. And it doesn't, to my eye at least, David, it doesn't look like she's descending as quick as she would normally descend here. It looks like she's just having to be pretty careful here. And she'll know the race chance of race victory is gone. I think it's long gone in this race with the time gap that we've seen. Over 5 minutes between first and second now, and
we've just got to split through.
Yeah,
Lauren Gregory
take it away.
is only 40 seconds behind. Lauren Gregory is now only 40 seconds behind Joyce and Giroud. And Sara Alonso has used the climb to move into 4th place, the Basque runner. And look at this now. This is technical running. Imagine this with a sore ankle. How hard this will be if you're trying to protect your ankle.
Well, here is Lauren Gregory. Yeah, let's keep with her because I don't think it'll be too long before we see potentially Lauren Gregory turn that 3 into a 2. She looks like she's descending with much more venom, much more confidence than we've seen from Injiru, the race leader. Jepinjana, what a race she has put together here. Absolutely stunning performance. She's had a little bit of luck with that potential injury to Injiru, but she still had to go out and run it.
She's got 1.3k to go now. This is the final loop. She ran that at the beginning of the race. She'll know this. It's not technical, but also she knows she has this one now. This is just a joy for her. Behind her is where the real battle is. Joyce and Giroud 5 minutes down, Lauren Gregory on her shoulder, but actually the top 5 places are all incredibly tight. At the moment in 4th place, Sara Alonso from Spain in 6:38. Sophia Lauchley from America 7:09, and on her shoulder Judith Wieder, the descender. But this is Lauren Gregory currently in 3rd place, aiming for that 2nd place. Less than 30
and she's
seconds
got her
now.
She's got her in her sights, hasn't she? This Lauren Gregory will be relishing this. She'll be loving this, knowing, can I get 2nd? And more of the chasing pack on the descent.
And Judith Wieder has made the overtake. She is incredible over this kind of terrain. She is 5 times world orienteering champion. She won the Golden Trail Series back in 2019. And wait until you see her open up on the steeper downhill. They are yet to get to the steep and then the technical sections. But if you're Sophia Lauchley, you're just praying you can hold on by the base and try and push hard in that last lap. But we are currently looking at our 5th and 6th place runners.
Back to the runner in 3rd place, Sophia Gregory out of the USA, and she is on the hunt. She is chasing down Joyce and Giroud, who was in 2nd place, but you've got to be so careful on this type of very steep descent. Oh, nearly goes down.
And closing in. Now, just to remind you, when they get to the bottom of this technical section, there's a 1.3k practical sprint. At the moment, it favors Lauren. Previous performance at that section, Joyce was the faster runner. Joyce is the faster runner over that terrain on a normal day, but she's not looking like it at the moment. And so, oh no. But
all right, bounce back up quickly.
Lauren. Back up. Come on, Joyce. And this is the fear. This is why Joyce would have been slowing down. She would have been nervous of protecting her ankle.
Tough technical descents.
Just incredible to see. You see how fast her feet are moving. And we saw this with Naomi Lang 2 days ago. the better downhill runners are using quick feet to always adjust. You're never braking, you're just using your feet to steer the downhill. But they're coming up to the overtake potentially here. Neck and neck. Judith Weeder now closing in on them as well. All of them on that final descent.
Well, it's all coming back together in the battle for the podiums. Gregory here from the USA has Injeru just in front of her. She did have that little slip though, didn't she? It can go wrong very, very quickly. Back to the race leader, Jeptengeno. Oh, here we go. Right up with each other. Does Gregory try just go blast past? And what a point to try and make the overtake. If you're feeling good, this crowd is only going to lift you.
But Joyce has opened up
like
already. Look at that response.
Yeah. Responds quickly
response.
with the crowd.
They will be running sub 3-minute kilometer speed right now. They know exactly what they've got left to finish this. 1.3k is the final lap. They did it at the beginning of today. They've done it in the prologue already. The question is, what do you do here? Do you make the break or do you back your final sprint finish? There is a very tight turn coming into the final bend. But Lauren Gregory takes second.
Yep.
She's into
She
second
makes
place
the
for the
move.
first time today.
She's feeling good, feeling confident, and now up in second place, deciding she had the legs and maybe aware from spotters out on the course that Injiri was not at 100%. So make the move and just continue to add pressure onto Joyce Injiri. This woman has not felt much pressure today by the looks of things. I'm sure she actually has, but she has Jeptengeno. And that is not Joyce Injiri there, it is Jeptengeno out at the front.
Coming through to our finish line. She took it out at the start from finish all the way to the finish. No one has come close other than that slight moment of Joyce catching her. But for her second race, her second trail race ever, the winner of the Golden Trail World Series final from Kenya, and looking like she has energy to spare. An absolutely incredible performance by Joylene Jeptengeno.
Absolutely stunning. She has taken a remarkable victory today, and how she made that ascent was just fantastic. Trying to run everything, but it's Sophia Gregory in second place. Again, over the last few kilometers, she has been the form runner out on the trails, and she's blasted past Joyce Injiri. The finish line not too far away for Gregory. A really, really wonderful run from her. Tactically has got this spot on, Lauren Gregory, and she is on course for second place in the World Series, the Golden Trail World Series finals. And surely she is going to see it out from here. But now we're thinking, is Injiri going to hold on to the podium?
Behind Lauren, it was super close. Sarah Alonso was tracking them down. Judith Weeder was just off the back as well. Both of those runners potentially now eye on third place. And look at Joylene, the energy she's got there. Just absolutely lapping this up. But Lauren Gregory, it's her first year in trail. Incredible. She came out to the headlands and took third place on home soil. She backed that up with a great performance, coming third in Mammoth Lakes. She showed the kind of technical skill and ability she has coming second in our prologue. But we're going to hear now from our race leader. Our race winner, in fact.
That everybody will know. You won Cerzinal, and then you didn't have the chance to come back to the Golden Trail Series because of a visa, but now you came back to the final, and you've shown the entire world that you were one of the strongest. What is it that you want to say to the world?
having a small problem with my knee, but thank God, but because I win the final. Yeah, I was not having the visa for the US. Yeah, but for the points I didn't win. I thank God. Maybe next year. Yeah. Also, I thank my coach, Julia Leon, with my team, Romani Ranas, and also my sponsors, Daudin and Santasa. Thank you very much for assisting me. Yeah, I'm happy.
And we know there is a backstory with your children that if you won, you were going to do something. Can you tell us what you were going to do?
Yeah, I was promising to buy a bicycle for my boy. Yeah, yeah. No, I think he's happy. Yeah.
And we are all very happy for you. We look forward to having you in the Golden Trail World Series again next season. Congratulations and enjoy this fantastic victory at the final with all the crowds here and your family back home. Thank you, Joylyn.
Thank you very much.
Get that boy a Harley. He must be delighted right now. And if you weren't here to hear the backstory, it's incredible. She wasn't running 2 years ago. She's lost 30 kilograms in weight by running 40K a day to return to trail. But just as big news as that win is Lauren Gregory, her best ever performance in the Golden Trail. Taking second, you can see the smile, the disbelief in her eyes. Joining us in trail for the first time this year, Lauren Gregory from America takes second place in the Golden Trail World Series Finals. Incredible from her.
Look at what it means to her. That smile, 300 meters, 200 meters or so before the line tells you everything you need to know. And here we see Joyce Njiru. She is going to hold on to third place and take the Golden Trail World Series overall. Time for a few high fives for the crowd. She's battled so hard today. Not been the perfect race, but at the end of the season, she is on top of the rankings, and that was the target for her coming into today's race. She's achieved that goal, and now she can smile. I think she'll look back on this race. Well, that was a tough one.
And Judith Weeder coming through, the former champion. She's had COVID this year. She's struggled with form and with health in America. And Sara Alonso in 5th place. The Spaniard, you can see the emotion. Another person who's been battling injuries these last 2 years. An absolutely incredible performance for her to return back here in 5th. Shout out to her mum and dad. But this to me just speaks about the power. And Sophia Lockley coming through in 6th, last year's champion. She came to these finals to remind everyone of that she has the talent and ability. She started the season with injury and has battled well to keep in our top 6 today. But this is what I love about Golden Trail, the number of smiles coming across that finish line.
All right, we are with Joyce Njiru. 3rd place today after a race that you fought until the end. We saw Lauren Gregory come back to you, but there was something more important happening today. You were defending your title, and this is official now. You are the 2024 Golden Trail World Series champion after fighting the entire season. I have one question for you, Joyce. How is this win going to change your life?
Well, first I would like to thank God for the great strength since the beginning. And now here I'm finally the winner. I could always just to say stay on the target and to finish well. And this is amazing, and I feel more motivated since it wasn't my expectation for this year. It was just to attempt the series and how it will go. But now finally here I am talking about the overall ranking, being the leader, and also being the first woman in Africa to win the Golden Trail Series. It means a lot, and for me I see it as a good progression for my career, and also looking forward for great seasons each and every year. And for this Golden Trail Series,
I don't have enough words to say, but I'm really grateful for the Golden Trail members and the fraternity for giving me this chance. And yes, I'm really grateful. Yeah.
And we are grateful you are here. Congratulations. We look forward to possibly seeing you next year defend your title. For now, please enjoy with all these participants the rest of the final, and I think you have champagne to celebrate this. Thank you very much, Joyce.
Thank you so much to everyone who is there cheering me and motivating me each and every time. I'm really grateful. And yes, here we are now just enjoying the season. And yes, wow, I'm happy. Yeah.
Time to celebrate.
Get that lady
to
a
celebrate
sponsor.
indeed. Yeah, absolutely, David. She's earned it.
Crazy. Crazy she's not got the support and the financial and the logistical support of a lot of the other athletes, but she really deserves this series win. She was leading in Kobe and blew up out in the four mountain trail in China. She won that one. Sierra Zanau again went out hard and blew up, but then returned to America to win both of those races and the prologue. And third place today when she was battling from over halfway with an ankle injury. Incredible defiance, guts and determination for her to come through and see it through to the finish line and win our overall series. Naomi Lang, the newcomer from Scotland, coming through today into our top 10. What a future she has.
Fantastic performance from Naomi Lang. She has finished in 7th place today. A really remarkable run, and you can see it's taking it out of her. Fantastic. If there's any brands out there looking for a quality athlete to get behind, then, well, Joyce and Giroux, certainly one of them that I think would be appreciative of a phone call. You can see the quality, the talent that she has coming through in 8th place.
And Maria Liazzi, what a performance from her. Another young runner. She's Swiss, but her dad is Italian, so this is a perfect race for her. I know her mum has come to support her, but here on screen, 3 young runners who have absolutely blown apart these finals today. Incredible performances all round. And this is why I love the Golden Trail. Is what do we have in store for next year? The talent on offer, and we've seen Joyling arriving this season, winning 2 of the races. Lauren Gregory already transitioning her 5K pace into this trail running, and the return of athletes like Judith Wieder, Sophia Lockley, and Sarah Alonso. So many big names on offer in this final today.
Can't wait for next season already. Are we going to see more of Chep and Jana? Will we see some more African runners think, actually, do you know what? This could suit me, because it's been dominated by the Europeans, the Americans over the years, but now we're seeing the Kenyans coming through very, very strongly, and that may just pique some interest, particularly in Kenya and other parts of Africa as well. Wonderful camaraderie on display, as you'd expect.
Marlon, well done with her. I know she's been struggling with cramps. Coming through for 4th overall, and Marlin's mother sadly passed away before Poland. So this has been an incredibly emotional time for her. So to still battle through for 10th and take 4th in the series really speaks to the strength of character that Marlon Ossa has, and you can see the Basque flag in the background there. And Miao Yao also finishing there, rounding off our top 10. But here are some highlights of today's race for you.
Well, we started off in overcast skies above Lago Maggiore here in Ascona Locarno in southern Switzerland. A few nerves at the start line, not from the Kenyan runners though, as they disappeared pretty quickly, David, off of the front, and it was Cepingeno setting the early pace. Ingeru thought about going with her, but it was Cepingeno out on her own for the majority of the race.
Yeah, and this is where we weren't sure whether Joyce Ingeru was going to just sit back and defend her lead, but no, she went after that race victory. We knew, though, at this stage that while Ingeru has been tested over all elements of the course, Cepingeno not as well known for her downhill skill, new to trail this year. And so at this stage, Joyce Ingeru still had the leader within her sights. And as they came up to this final peak, there was a change of gear amongst our athletes. Now, behind them, the big question for the chasing pack was who was going to get third overall in our series. Judith Wieder and Marlin Osser tied in points coming into it. As we came down these descents, though, 600 meters of descending, Joyce retook the lead, but you'll see it here. She tweaked her ankle twice in the space of a couple of minutes, and at one point looked like she wouldn't be able to continue running. The gap started to pull out between her and first place, and there was a moment we were worrying whether she was going to completely drop out of this race and the chasing pack catch her up. Joyce actually caught up with the race leader on the descent, but when they started climbing again, that allowed Joylene Cepingeno to pull out an almighty lead. Lauren Gregory then, looking like the stronger of the two runners, breaking free from the chasing pack, but also attacking the climbs and the downhills. Coming into the penultimate lap, they were back together, but again, it was the climb that allowed Cepingeno to pull away from Joyce Ingeru. Behind them, Judith Wieder, third overall in the series, now creating a big gap between her and Marlin Osser. Content of that overall podium. As they came out into the final climb of 600 meters, this is where Joyce Ingeru was needing to protect her lead. But as you can see on screen, her confidence, the issues with her ankle, was starting to change her style. And in fact, all of our race leaders really struggling with how steep this course was in our sixth lap. You can see here how damaging this climb was. And the battle for first and second place changed to the battle for second and third. Joyce coming over the top, a very, very fast descender, but actually with the damage in her ankle, and I think her race management as well, meant that she couldn't run quite as fluidly. And this is where Lauren Gregory, the American athlete, started to attack. You can see the aggression she's having, but ahead was Joyce, and she made the pass in the final 1.3K. Joylene Cepingeno taking the victory, her second victory of the season. Only her second ever trail race. In second place, the American Lauren Gregory, her first ever second place. The young runner taking her fourth podium of the season. And in third place, Joyce Ingeru winning the overall title today. Delighted to have made it through to the finish line, given the question marks once she'd turned her ankle. And here is our top five. Judith Wieder from Switzerland and Sara Alonso from Spain, rounding off the top five.
Well, what a race. What a season. Storylines from start to finish in today's race. And Lauren Gregory in second place. Absolutely delighted with her performance, getting it tactically absolutely spot on. Time for celebration. Time for Joyce Njiru to start checking out some local bike shops as well for her son, and I'm sure he will already have his eyes on what he's after. Let's get a look at the final rankings. Cepengeno taking it by 4 minutes 21 seconds over Gregory, and
in terms
Judith
of
Vida not too far
names,
behind in the end.
In terms of new names, Naomi Lang coming in there for 7th, her first ever Golden Trail finish. Incredible performance by her. Aurelia Leachi also getting in the top 10, and Rachel Tomash. Those 2 names in the top 10, really, really good performances from them. And for Sara Alonso to return again, backing up her 3rd place in Japan, to be able to return to this highest level is great to see. But we're going to see what that does to our overall top 10 as well in the series. Hopefully they're doing the maths currently. We should be bringing those updates to you shortly.
A few more athletes crossing at the finish line. We'll get a look at the overall standings. The calculators are out. We know Joyce Njiru has taken the overall for 2024. A fantastic performance all season long for her, and for many of these athletes now it's all eyes on next season. So just waiting to bring you the overall standings.
We will be back tomorrow with the men's race, and it is super tight for the top 5 places. Here again at the same time, but we're see the joy of just finishing this race. It's an absolutely brutal 24 kilometers. For anyone finishing is really impressive, and here comes Fruida, our Scandinavian athlete, doing incredibly well there. But we can confirm Joyce Njiru is the overall winner of our series this year. A great performance from her. In 2nd place, we believe is Madalena Floria, although we're yet to see her cross the finish line. We're hoping that nothing has happened, but potentially it could be Judith Wieder up to 2nd place. We're waiting for confirmation. And Sarah Carter there, the American athlete who won the national series of the time trial 2 days ago, comes through our finishing. Another track athlete who's transitioned to trail this year. We're hoping that hopefully we can get someone to ensure she's okay on our finish line. But we're just waiting for confirmation in our top 10 in the overall series. I think this is why it's taking so long. We need to find out where Madalena Floria is finishing today to know where she's on the overall standings. Potentially she's losing her 2nd place today.
She was outside the top 30 in one of the time checks, so obviously we can't give out the top 10 until we've, as David says, we have the final position of Madalena Floria. Just checking out, she's no, not yet. So she is outside the top 30 in a very tough race for the Romanian today.
And we've just got to hope that she's safe and nothing bad has happened to her. But to come in today with an outside chance of the victory, and so Judith Wieder may have battled her way back to a 2nd place overall in the series. A repeat of last year, I believe. 2nd place again, which also then means Marlin Osser up to 3rd place in our overall standings. But we're just waiting for confirmation on what that does to our overall finishes. But as I said, we're back tomorrow with the final of the men's. Patrick Cepengeno hoping to overcome the lead of El Hussein Elazoui. Behind them, Remy Bonnet came 2nd in our time trial. He is back and in blistering form. And Filemon Carriego, winner of last year's Sierra Zanao, will be racing as well. But it's going to be the same course, potentially a little bit slicker. And again, we'll get to see the incredible downhills. If you hadn't had an opportunity to get onto social media, follow the Golden Trail World Series accounts, you'll be able to see quite how fast everyone did the time trial and descended. It's incredible to see. And Gabriela, one of our young Spanish runners, just crossing the finish line there.
Still no sign of Madalena Florea. We've had 36 athletes cross the line so far.
There are points, I believe,
David,
that go out to the top 60. Top 60, I think we can get points in for, potentially with the final. But if we look at the lead Madalena had, she had around 110-point lead over Judith Wieder. We're going to be waiting another 2 minutes to try and find out what was happening in the overall lead. So 2 more minutes before we can confirm what's going on potentially. In terms of the overall points, this final is worth 300 points that were on offer. So we do know that Judith Wieder, at the moment with her finish, has finished with 249 points. I can do a little bit of arithmetic in my head. So she had a 97-point lead going into this.
Florea not far away from the finish line now. She is running, I think, in about 40th place.
And it's gone. Here's Madalena Florea. Great to see, but that second place has gone under my calculations. She's outside she'd need to finish in 21st place to protect her overall second. I mean, good news that she doesn't look injured, and but clearly something has gone wrong. The damage is done, though. She is shedding place after place, and given how top our top 9 are, I think that means she might be out of our overall top 10, depending on where Marta Martinez and Julia Font finish today. Potentially Rachel Tomasz into our top 10 with the performance she's had. It could be Rachel Tomasz is coming through into our top 10. We're getting our update shortly, and lovely to see there Yao Miao going over. They do have a similar coach. They train a lot together. Clearly a really tough performance. To go from last year's victory in the final to today must be incredibly hard for her. But Yao Miao, our Chinese athlete there, clearly trying to share some condolence with Madalena Florea, our Romanian athlete. Devastating result for her in the overall series.
So tough. It's been a brutal race for the Romanian. Again, the camaraderie on display. Everybody has them from time to time, don't they? In this sport, you're going to have a day where it just doesn't click, and you can see the emotion on display. Well,
and there we have it.
We see the final standings. In Giro, as we know, taking it. Judith Wieder finishing in second place in the standings. She started the day in third place, and Malin Ossa moving up to third place. Miao Yao finishing in fourth, Gibson in fifth, and Florea dropping down to sixth place. So Lauren Gregory finishing in seventh after a fantastic second place finish today. And good to see Sara Alonso in 10th after a great run after what has been quite a tricky season for her.
And here we are with
all you can do is support
Madalena Florea. Super tough time. You can see the emotion just flooding out now. Clearly wanting to finish to protect her top 10 place, but just now nothing to stop those tears flowing. And let's just hope that she's okay and she can return stronger next season.
Well, great words, David. It's so difficult. Everyone's just supporting her, looking, giving her encouragement. We know what a quality athlete that she is, and she'll be feeling it. We know that. We wish her well, of course. Well, we're back again to do it all for a second time. It's the men's finals tomorrow on the same course. I can't wait for it. David, it's been a lot of fun today. I've really enjoyed it, and I cannot wait for tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to be back. All the big names are here. Remy Bonnet, Elhasine Alazoui, Patrick Kipengeno, Philemon Karaoke. They are all in peak condition. And the big news for me is not only is Elhasine aggressively ready to attack the downs, but Remy and Patrick are in peak form to attack the up. It's going to be the race of the season. See you there.